Hey guys, I'm Evan and this is Magnolias in Sunlight, and today I am surrounded by a table full of vintage and thrifted cool things that I'm going to put together to make a really fun, unique custom tablescape for Thanksgiving. So I'm not actually hosting Thanksgiving this year, and I really wanted to get this video pushed out much earlier to give you guys the inspiration and the time to shop. But you know what? Life sometimes gets in the way. So hopefully you see this, it can give you some spark an idea. Maybe you can take a last minute little pre-Thanksgiving thrift store trip to find something to spice up your own table. But I'm actually not even hosting Thanksgiving this year. So this table is purely for the inspo, for the vibes, and using all of these really cool things that I've already had in my collection and then that I bought for this exact video. So I'm going to show you a few things and then we're going to jump in. I do need to dishwash some things. These are straight from the thrift store. We need to do a quick DIY and then we need to start putting the table together. And I am fighting the sun like crazy. I filmed this like 3 times and I keep having to move chairs to get away from the sun blowing everything out, and it's still blowing the background out. So my apologies. We will eventually just be close-ups of the table and hopefully it will work out. I was thinking it would be cloudy today and it's not. So this piece here is what prompted this whole video. I've had this since early July, May, sometime early summer. And I kept going to the thrift store in the spring and this was on the shelf. And I get it's kind of ugly, but like in my eyes it's like so cute, or so ugly that it's cute. But it's just a green cornucopia and it is handmade. The glaze kind of got into the signature on the bottom. So the best that I can tell is that it was made in September of 1975 by someone named Blanche. And I'm gonna do Blanche proud and make a Thanksgiving tablescape with this as my centerpiece. I also have a huge tray that you'll see that I'm gonna put this on, do my whole centerpiece, and that's kind of the wow moment when people walk in. And then using that tray, we can lift it off the table, put it to the side, and then put, you know, the fake Thanksgiving spread that I don't have for this video. So we're gonna have a beautiful centerpiece, not a turkey. But I think the reason this got left behind was because it was listed at $9.99, and literally I went to the thrift store 3-4 times and this was still on the shelf. And the 4th time I went, I was like, it has to come home with me because now it's on sale and it's only $6. So for $6, a cool vintage centerpiece, we're gonna do a DIY so that we can fill this with some faux brass fruit and really have a wow moment in the middle of our table. And this is our color palette, which I absolutely love. I collect a lot of mustard glass and a lot of avocado-green glass. So we're going very like autumnal colors, very green, and I think it's gonna be really fun. But first things first, we need to get all of our plates from the thrift store into the dishwasher, and then we can start setting up the base layer of the table and jump into that DIY. So let's do it.
Okay, so time to give everything a quick bath. I like to soak everything in hot water or warm water with Dawn dish soap, and it really just helps get the stickers off of all of the thrifted pieces. And then of course we will load everything into the dishwasher for a good sanitizing clean before we serve any food on it.
Okay friends, so while all of our other dishes are in the dishwasher, they are still going. I ended up having to wash these by hand and then dry them off and bring them over here because they were just too tall for my washing machine. So I'm going to set them out of the way, and this is kind of what we're dealing with at this point. So let's go through the elements and then I will show you. I'm going to undo it and redo it with you. I kind of wanted to see it first and then I was dealing with the sun. So now that that is not our issue anymore, we can do this and you guys can actually see what I'm doing. So we have 2 tablecloths. I don't have a table runner that I love on this table, but I was looking for green florals and I happened to find it at the thrift store. This tablecloth was $4.99. The green one under it is also just a large rectangular tablecloth. Also, this one is vintage and it's handmade. You can see there's some seams here that I'll show you. Someone took 2 of these, cut one up, and then put a half on each end. So there's 2 seams that go along, and it's not totally square, but we've done something kind of cute with it that I really enjoy. And then the green tablecloth underneath is left over from our wedding. And this was from Amazon originally, and I can probably link it down below if you really like this color. I have used it multiple times, and so while most of this is thrifted and vintage, a few things are things that I just have already had laying around. And on the white table, the white tablecloth, I needed something solid underneath to make it pop, and we want this really layered look. So a few things to keep in mind and why I'm showing you this now, and then I will show you how I've done this. You want your table runner to be wider than your centerpiece moment. So when I first did this, my tray was actually wider than the floral fabric. So I had to undo it and then widen it out a little bit. It's really important to think ahead of all of the elements that you're gonna have. You also want to think about like, okay, someone is gonna be sitting here and on the other end, and they're going to have fabric under them. Do we want to pull it in and make it so that that's not the case? I tried that. It looks a little silly on my table, but on a rectangular table, you really could do something that is just very central. Additionally, we could probably do something with no linens at all and just do the tray and the cornucopia display with the candles and all of that. Personally, I like the layer. I want more layers, so that's where we're going now. Not only, I guess, at the end, but we are going to have some overlap here with our charger, and that's why I'm doing chargers and stacked plates and not doing tablecloth or placemats. I'm not doing placemats. I couldn't find any, and because of this very narrow curve here, placemats don't tend to work very well on this table. Sorry. Oh my goodness, Bailey, you're having a moment. Lots of shaking and sneezing. Okay, so let's move this tray and our little cornucopia, and I will put it on the chair here so it's just right out of the way. This tablecloth here, the big green one, is just folded in half, so I don't feel like I need to show you guys how to do that. But if you have another tablecloth that you want to put on top, this is how I've done it with this one. So again, this is handmade, and unfortunately, it is not square. I wish it were. But as I was trying to match up the corners, I quickly realized one side will match up and then the other side it won't because of these seams. So this was, like I said, done by somebody, and they cut it in half, and then they used the selvage side here, which was actually really smart so it didn't fray, and then hemmed around the sides. So what we've done is we folded our larger tablecloth in half. Gonna go all the way out because, like I said, this is a very large tablecloth that somebody made. I'm assuming they had a very big table and they needed a very specific size that didn't exist. So we folded it in half. We're going to, as best we can, hopefully yours is not crooked, and you can line up the corners, but you want to line up the corners. And this is also good to do when you have a buddy because this is longer than my wingspan. But we're going to fold this in thirds. Oh my goodness, okay. And maybe do it on a clean floor. So we're gonna fold it in thirds, and that way our new edge is like a finished edge. It's not gonna be the folded piece on one side. And we're gonna do this on both sides and basically create, like, I guess it would be a sixth of the size of the normal piece. And this is what I'm saying. That side is totally lined up. This side is absolutely 100% not. So I also was really proud of myself because it felt like for a long time I didn't find any stains on this. And now as I'm messing with it, I have found one stain, which is fine. No big deal. It is a vintage tablecloth. I expected there to be something, and it's not super noticeable. But if you're folding it, like here's the stain, we can hide that under the fold. So again, check and make sure once you do your thirds that it's still going to be wide enough. So that's perfect for our tray. Go ahead and finish this side, trying to make sure your lines are straight. And then you're gonna flip it, which this is when I say it's good to have a buddy. but just really quickly do a quick flip and then center it on your underneath tablecloth. So now you could absolutely iron this out, flatten it out. I think with all the things that we're putting on it, it's not even going to be noticeable that you have these seams, but this is just a really pretty way to use some either fabric you already have, a really beautiful old sheet. You can basically create faux table runners, which is really cool. So now what we're going to do, because I don't like the square on square on oval, I like that layered. I want some more interesting shapes. So what we're going to do is we're going to fold this up and we're going to make a corner. Just an even corner, and then really flatten it out. Again, you could bring out your iron and iron this in. If you have a little one of those stitchy guns, you could put a stitch here in the bottom and here in the top to really hold this corner. But I'm finding that once you flip it back, it holds quite well. So we're going to do that on both sides. Again, fold this back and then make our corner. You do want to make sure that your piece, your flat edge here and here are symmetrical. It's pretty noticeable when you flip this back. Okay. And then now at this point, we can flatten everything back out and bring out our tray. This was a thrifted tray that I got. It is I'm going to show you this logo because it's actually really cool. Hopefully that will, there we go. So it's a bolt-to-built, made in the USA 106, and I just love having a massive oval tray on my table, especially on the fact that we have this oval table. It just kind of mimics that shape. And then when we have something beautiful in here, like we'll have our little cornucopia moment with a bunch of candles and things filled with our fruits. And then when we have, theoretically, we're not actually serving here, but if we had a turkey or something, we can just lift this off, set it out of the way, and then replace it all with the food. Obviously, if you have like a floral centerpiece or something, you could just take that off and then use this to put another serving tray on top of. These bolt-to-built trays were actually made for like food service, so that's kind of what it's meant for. However, this will be overflowing and it will be a little more difficult to just move out of the way. So we would take the whole tray and then put our beautiful serving platter down. So now we have our beautiful mustard chargers. These were $2.99 a piece. So we're just going to start building up where our people are going to sit, where the chairs are going to go, and we're also going to run down to the garage because this will require some dry time and start working on our faux brass fruit for the cornucopia. So let's do that first, and then we'll come back and start building up the table while the fruit dries. Welcome to the studio space. We still have a long way to go out here, but hopefully you'll be seeing a lot of it in the future. And I brought you down here because we're going to do a little spray painting, and I can open up the garage door so we get a little ventilation. But we're going to make some brass fruit, or some faux brass fruit. I went to the thrift store looking specifically to pick up some. Finding actual brass fruit, especially in any kind of quantity, is really difficult. That's really more of something you want to go look for at like an antique store or somewhere that's really curated. If you find it at the thrift store, you are very, very lucky. You can also buy it in like, usually I went on eBay and looked around and I was finding sets of 2 and 3 that were running about $15 for the set or more. So you can start collecting it to make a brass cornucopia next year if you like this idea, or you can do what I'm doing and buy a $6 bag of plastic fruit and hit it with some spray paint. So my plan here is to try 2 different things and see which one works best, and then I'll let you know. Do one just with the standard gold spray paint. This is going to be more gold than brass. I was looking at my spray paint collection, and I have one that's a little brassier but not super brassy, so I thought I could do this, and if it's really gold and terrible and shiny, we can tone it down with some rub and buff. I'm gonna have the rub and buff out anyway because my other plan was to use this. I used this in DIY or dye on some little like pumpkin lanterns that I hung on our Halloween tree DIY, and I really liked the brown hammered look of this. It like automatically gives you a little bit of texture on the spray paint, and then I thought we could put rub and buff on top of this to really get that like older brass look. I know a lot of people paint things like red or black and then put the rub and buff on top of that. I want to try this textured brown color and see how that goes. So I'm going to put these down. I have a little box set up, and we're going to do some of these one after the other. Maybe I'll set up 2 boxes so we can just knock it out, and then we'll let them dry, and then we can go start setting up the plates, come back for these after dry time, and build out our centerpiece. Okay, so we have our fabric and our centerpiece laid out. At least we know the placement. While this isn't finished, we can go ahead and start doing the surrounding table. So I wanted to show you kind of what we're working with. So each place setting will have a charger, a dining plate, and some kind of salad plate. I have not decided which ones I want to use yet. I have quite a few options that we can pick from. So I did want to go through and kind of show you a tip or a trick or whatever you want to call it while thrifting for your tablescape, because I'm setting up for 6, and while it's quite easy to find 6 of something at the thrift store, it's maybe not common, but it can be done. I have found sets of 8 and 12 before. You just have to kind of get lucky. Obviously, a lot of the time things end up at the thrift store because one chipped and then there's no longer a set. I would never do that. I would just jump online and like buy a replacement for that set, but I get why people do it. For instance, I have 3 of these really fun plates, and I would love to eventually find a 4th. Maybe one day I will. These are Accents, ACSONS, genuine stoneware. This is the Belmont pattern, and I love the blue and green. I just bought these actually for this specific tablescape. This is an otagiri, beautiful, and you'll see up close when I lay these out on the table. And the thrift store was absolutely chaotic the day that I went was like looking for plates. On the plate aisle, there were 2 carts that they were unloading onto the shelves, and then like 30 people. I swear it was absolutely insane. And obviously I had a cart because I was trying to get a stack of plates. I managed to find a full set of 6 of these. There were actually quite a few more that I left behind, but I think these were someone's event wear, maybe a wedding or something, and those got donated. And then I thought I found 6 of these, and I was so excited. I just like grabbed them and put them in my cart. And when I got home, I realized that I miscounted in the aisle. The anxiety of all the chaos got the better of me, and there's actually only 5. So I've been trying to find another one of these to complete this set because I really like them. I've Google image searched, and so far all I can find is they're otagiri. They have no stamps on the back or any information at all. And the ones that I keep finding are ashtrays. So I found multiple ashtrays. Most of them are listed as trinket trays. They're absolutely ashtrays. Maybe one day I can find another one of those, but it's going to make the table setup a little more complicated because I thought I had 6 matching salad plates, but I'm thinking maybe I just combine these plates with these for like a dessert setup where you would do like your pumpkin pie. Speaking of mixing and matching though, I found at the thrift store when I bought these otagiri plates, these beautiful stoneware mustard. They're scalloped. This is the Summer Sun Baroque pattern by Herside Stoneware, but I could only find 2 of these, which was heartbreaking. I've even gone back and looked to see if I could find any more, but I liked this scalloped pattern. I thought it was good for Thanksgiving, kind of traditional and also unique at the same time, and I found this plate. So on screen they look a little bit different because the Baroque pattern in my left hand has a speckling to it, so it appears darker. This plate here has a stamp on the back that I do not recognize, and not one that I can even really make out, unfortunately, but I can see that there's a made in France stamp into the clay. So these seem to be very nice. They're quite heavy, and the undertone cream on both of these is identical. So my thought was that I could get 2 of these, and I found 2 of these were also only 2 of these, and then 2 of something else, and kind of do a mix and match. It started to feel a little busy, so what I did was went online and found on eBay, I looked for a set of 4 of these, and all the ones that I could find were actually quite expensive. These in the thrift store were $4.99 per plate, which is more than I would normally pay. These, for example, were $1.99 a plate, and that's really more what I was looking for. But I really liked them, and I was kind of in like a treat yourself moment at the thrift store that day. So I went ahead and got them. The ones that I found on eBay, the cheapest I found was $6 per plate, but then the shipping was like $11 to $13. So that makes it quite expensive when you're trying to buy 4. Hopefully the seller would have figured out the shipping and like brought that price down, but it was still a lot per plate. So what I did was I found something similar. So this is the Mikasa whole wheat. There is a code on the back, E8000. Also, oven to table to dishwasher, microwave oven safe, made in Japan. So I'm assuming these came out around the same time. They have a very similar scalloping. It's a cream plate, speckled cream plate with a mustard outline. And I got a set of 4 of these off of eBay. And the total came out to about $6 per plate, which is a little more doable in my mind. So my plan here is to do these 4 seats with these, and then the 2 head seats using these. And I think it's gonna look really beautiful, it's gonna look purposeful, and it's not gonna be as busy as having 3 sets of 2 on the table. And then we're mimicking this scalloped shape all the way through. So while we have the cream as kind of a through line, the mustard matches the mustard yellow glass that we're using, but we also have the scalloping, so these plates aren't going to go to waste. I'm going to use these as serving pieces. So this is a really great thing that you could serve. My family has usually done 2 kinds of turkey. We usually do like a fried turkey and a smoked turkey. Sometimes someone brings a small ham. You could put something small like that on here, especially if it's carved in advance. You could put, you could put literally anything from your meal on here. A stack of cornbread, whatever. You could also put a casserole dish on here and use this kind of as a serving, like an under plate for a casserole dish, a round one, obviously. But that way we have kind of this scallop cream through line all the way across. If that is too chaotic for you, and I get it, if you really want matching plates and you're going to the thrift store, what you can do is get something really simple. Usually the good matching sets are plain white. I saw literally, I want to say like 100 white plates with a gold rim around them. Very traditional, very classic, but you can get a lot of them, and they were about $1.50 a piece because there's so many of them. So what you can do is a cool charger and then a really simple plate that matches all the way across, and then you're gonna have a lot of fun with your servingware. So here I have 2 thrifted. This one is like a tartlet shape with a beautiful flower motif in the middle. This one is a little bit darker, and it has like that beautiful swirl. Flat, one's a really shallow bowl. This one, we do a lot of charcuterie boards on this one actually. But this could be great for like some kind of like salad or something. And then you're really building up your table with a lot of really fun, vintage, unique pieces without having your serving sets be different. You're still getting that vintage collected look, but you have the more like mellow settings in front of each person. All right, so let's start building some settings. All right, so we're gonna start with our charger. And then because this is one of the middle seats, we're going to go with the Mikasa version. This is the label if you're interested. And then I want to show you what my brain was thinking at the time. So this was what I was really hoping to create right here. And it just, I think it's so stunning, but I don't think it's gonna work because I only have 5 of these. And that is the one thing that while I'm mixing and matching the middle plate, the reason that it works is because the charger and then the top plate will match, which is why I was desperately trying to find an extra one of those, but it just didn't happen. So let's see what we want to do. We can do the gold, which kind of fits in, and then we're going to have the gold fruit and the brass. So that's a nice option. We can throw in the green, but I think that clashes too much with, this is a France stamped plate. And then we would have, I think that's the way to go. I think the gold is a little too bright. I don't know, maybe. Does that work? And then people don't really actually eat off of the gold. My concern is also, it's also reading a lot like more burnt orange on there, so maybe that's not the right move. My concern is like having these messed up because they are grandma's. We've never eaten off of them, and I don't know if anyone else has either. But I think this, and then we'll have a beautiful napkin and some gold silverware. Also, don't mind my coffee cup of the morning, but also it totally matches. I have a set of these and a different but similarly colored coffee pot that is mid-century, made in Japan. And this is what I would use as a coffee service after dinner. We're not going to set all of that up, but it just goes to show that if you like collect things that you love, in the end, they all go together, and then you have like a really cool set of stuff that matches. So we have our water and wine and water. I'm going to set them that way because there is a way to do this that's like the right way to set a table, but I like the lower one on the inside. It's just kind of a aesthetic thing. And then these I bought at Home Goods years ago. We lived in Texas and we were hosting a very last minute dinner party. And for some reason, it felt really important to me that I had real napkins for this dinner party. So I went to Home Goods, and I think these are Kate Spade, but I'm pairing them with these really beautiful, I see I've never used them. We got them for our wedding, and we haven't had a formal meal to use them for. These really beautiful Brutalist brass candle, or napkin rings. So, squunch it all up, push it through. There are obviously many ways that you can fold and make a beautiful napkin, but I think for this, I like just kind of doing it in a fan and then organizing, or like making your fan pretty and setting it right there on the middle of the table. So I went on eBay and I decided, because we were doing so much brass, that I really, really wanted gold silverware. Our silverware is just kind of standard silver, stainless steel actually, silverware. And with all of the brass on the table, I thought it was going to clash really, really bad. So I picked up this set. It is the Trocadero made in Korea stainless. They are electroplated, but I think they're so pretty. And they have this really cool, like, it's either a 4-leaf clover or a flower, but I'm going with flower. And this set really wasn't that expensive. For the plates and the silverware, I sent in a best offer, and both of those were accepted. I love that this came with the silverware box, and it came wrapped like this. It was just beautifully packaged, so nothing got messed up. just went to the garage and I gathered a box of goodies. So these are our fruit. They turned out really well. I think the gold paint was a winner. Saves us a step, but I do need to still rub and buff the bronzed ones because I want to see what that will look like. They also look really cool. I'm wondering if we want to do a combination or if we really want to just like go all brass. I was thinking about it last night, and not having any textural tonal differences might look a little weird, or it might look incredible and purposeful. So there's the apple. The orange came out really cute as well. I grabbed these from my stash, but now that they're on the table, I think they're too pine green, not avocado green. I have some right here that I might use instead and pull those over and replace these with those. I have some magnolia leaves that are also from the thrift store. They were never used as far as I can tell. The tags are still on them. The spring bushes collection from Bloom, which I think was Joanne. But I picked these up a long time ago with the intention of making a magnolia leaf garland, and haven't, but I thought we could have this like underneath to give it a little more layering, so it's not just the cornucopia on the tray. Then while I'm here, I grabbed this because it's kind of a new thrift find for me, but I have this one and I have this one, and I'm thinking let's get rid of the idea of a gravy boat. It never holds enough gravy for 6 people or as many people as at your table anyway. Let's do a gravy pitcher. So wouldn't these both look really cute on this table? I'm going to show you some more serving things that I have as well. These I bought with the intention of probably doing flower arrangements in them, but you could test them for lead. Always test old products for lead just in case. But these would both be really cute. Concept of a gravy pitcher I love because it makes the surface area less. A gravy boat is really open, and I feel like it allows a lot of the heat, especially when it's like 40 degrees outside like it is right now. Our living room is kind of chilly, and a gravy boat would just let all of that heat escape, and cold or room temp gravy is never good. So a gravy pitcher would probably help retain some of that heat a little bit. Obviously, it's still open, obviously, so it's not going to do like a miracle, but it could do something. So I wanted to show you that as just a fun idea of something that you can use, a thrifted item. So I went ahead and put a raffia placemat under here. It's got the gold tones in it. So we're going to pull that up, and again, it's just that extra layer. And I'm going to put these on this chair because in theory, they might be, I want to surround this with a bunch of candles and make it kind of busy with candles and candlesticks, but those might be too big for the candlesticks that I have. So let's see if we put, let's start with the magnolias. And how far does this opening go? It does go all the way up, so I could in theory bend this to go up, and then we don't have to cut it. No, that's not gonna work. Okay, I have to go find some wire cutters. You could also, if you have a magnolia tree, go pick leaves. I currently don't. Not this kind of magnolia, at least. I have 2 magnolias in my backyard, but they're deciduous, so they've already dropped all of their leaves for the year. They're very beautiful. They're like the tulip magnolias. But I could also, I guess, have gone on a neighborhood search and just scavenged some. I didn't think about that in time. We want to cover up all of our mess. I think I want this gap to close here on the bottom layer. And then bring these up a little bit. I think that's actually really cute. Oh, I have more fruit over here. Okay. Maybe we don't use them. I think it's done. Know when it's done. We can put them underneath to to prop things up. That way when you're sitting, you can kind of see that it extends. Catty corner from one another. We have the green candlesticks. We have the brown candlesticks. I want to bring in a wood tone, especially if we end up using, like for the servingware, we use some like wood cutting boards, or even the brown pitchers, that brown wood tone. And then let me grab some brass candlesticks off of my shelf over here. And then I have these really low brass candlesticks. They have Hebrew written on them here. So I'm assuming they are part of a Jewish set that I do not have, but it will be okay. I'm gonna hide the Hebrew text under the cornucopia just because it's not like, I don't think it's Thanksgiving, obviously. And then I'm gonna put our really tall candles in those. And then I have this other set of taper candles that I also bought in California and brought back in my suitcase like 2 years ago, that are this green and cream color. So I'm gonna do the green in the brown candlesticks, and then the cream in the green candlesticks. And I need to go get some tin foil so that I can wrap the bottoms of these and make them stand up, because they do not fit in this holder. I cannot take credit for this tip. This is 100% my mom's trick. And I think she learned it when she was working retail and merchandising stores and product. But you can wrap a little tin foil, and obviously we don't want to see it because it's going to be kind of noticeable with the brass, but it really kind of mold it to your candle bottom and then stick it into your, and all of a sudden a candle that didn't fit 5 minutes ago perfectly fits into that candle holder now. So again, just wrap the bottom really low, obviously, so that it isn't going to show. You might see a little bit peeking out, but then push it in. And this works not just on brass, but on all candlesticks. You can really force things to work. Alright guys, so I wanted to show you a few quick thrift things that I found that I maybe didn't put on the table in the setup, but if I were hosting Thanksgiving, I 100% would use. So this is something that you can search for online. I found a bunch of them, but it is a bread holder. It is a vintage, you can still see the stickers on the bottom. It's probably backwards for you guys, but it's a salt and hot tray. It's wrapped in this beautiful raffia and then has these wildly good mid-century handles. I found this, like it says on the bottom, at Goodwill for $3.99. It does have a plug. I don't have the plug, but I use it anyway because the plug isn't super noticeable. And then I just take a linen towel. I do like the copper inside, but obviously to, you know, help with crumbs and things. And I usually put 2 in here, line them, and then put this on the table. So if we were hosting, I would move this tray, and then this would put right in front of everybody on one side, and then the turkey and stuff would go on the other. Other things to look for, I always pick up brass trivets if I find one. This is a recent find. It was a Goodwill find for $2.99. This one has rubber feet, which is really nice because the brass feet can sometimes still scratch your table, which kind of defeats the purpose. You do it so that you don't burn the table. This is a stone top, so it wouldn't matter. But on a wood table or like a soft stone or something like that, this does actually, the coating on here does get scratched. So I do like that this one has the rubber feet. It might not be as aesthetic, but you could put all of your hot dishes on a brass trivet and that would just look absolutely stunning. Scoot these water cups and wine goblet over, even just like dotted along here, kind of like that's where it's gonna go. These are your landing zones for all of your food to come. I know I talked about glass dishes. This is the little glass dish that I just picked up. I love the swoopy handles. I love the plaid glass pattern on this one. It's just so good. And it was $2.49, I believe. I just washed it, so the sticker's no longer on there. Moving along, this butter dish. I went to the thrift store for this project looking specifically for 3 things. Fruit, a glass butter dish with the top and the bottom, and a tray for the middle of my table. And while the brass fruit I couldn't find, I did find an alternative, and then I lucked out with the brass tray and my butter dish. So we have a stoneware butter dish, but it doesn't match this pattern. It is the Franciscan Starburst, the very mid-century. That is our like normal china set. And I love that, but it didn't work with this setup. So this one has a starburst on the bottom. So I still get my mid-century vibes, and then it's just beautiful ribbed glass. So this was also $2.49 for the set, and it is not chipped, it is not cracked or anything. It's stunning. A minute ago, I mentioned water and having water out for your guests on the table. This is a vintage spaghetti green pitcher that I picked up at Goodwill, and I think it would match really well. It's not a perfect match for the greens, but it is something that you can pick up quite easily. I have found many vintage, beautiful mid-century pitchers at Goodwill and have a nice little collection downstairs. Oh gosh, 2 more things, hold on. So in my family, we have not traditionally done wine at the dinner table on Thanksgiving, but I know that my in-laws do and a lot of people do. So that's why I have the wine in the water glass. And then you can pick up a wine bottle holder. This is great if you don't want to get wine drips, especially if you're drinking red wine on your table. I have 2 of these in different sizes. Both I found at the Goodwill in this green granite color. I also have some matching trivets that are in this exact green granite color as well. I bought this and the trivets together, and then actually I can get the other wine holder. It's staring me down right there. All right, so here's the other one. It's a little bit lower, so you could have 2 bottles of wine on the table, red and white, and those are also, this one doesn't have a price tag on it. It's full of little Wade Whimsies that I just picked up and have needed to find homes for. I was gonna do some little Christmas decorations with those. Here's another little pitcher that I found. This one matches our green tones and would look really pretty on the table, either with like creamer if you're doing coffee. That could go with a coffee set, or obviously it could be another option for gravy, just in a much smaller amount. And then last but not least, I thought this was funny, but I was in Oklahoma thrifting recently and I found a brass bell. And my childhood Thanksgivings, they're much more mild now. It's just like 4 or 6 of us. But my childhood Thanksgivings used to be 20 people at least. Multiple tables pushed together. It was chaotic and wild. People would be watching football. People would be playing football outside. And I really think my Aunt Maggie, who usually hosted with my Uncle Luke, would have loved a brass bell to call everyone to the dinner table. So this was $4.99. Like I said, I found this in Norman, Oklahoma in September. And my intention was not for this table, but it was sitting over on my bookshelf. And I was like, oh, that would be so funny for Thanksgiving. And then you can just put it as part of your centerpiece or back on the shelf or something. So I hope you guys enjoyed this last minute Thanksgiving. I do have a little bit of a surprise for you though. So I know Thanksgiving is like tomorrow, and unless you're watching this first thing in the morning and decide to go thrifting in the afternoon, which I don't judge you, it might be a little late, but watch this. And there you have it, a little Christmas display. I think this same color scape works really well, especially if you're doing like a woodland Christmas or something. The greens and the golds work beautifully together. I've just gone in with a mixture of bottle brush trees that I already owned, already had them in my collection, and then I added in 2 little brass reindeer that I just thrifted at Savers, and I'm think I might just leave this since I'm headed out for Thanksgiving to go celebrate at home. So this is a great way to come back and have a Christmas dinner or a Friendsgiving, hey buddy, set up and ready to go. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you have a very happy Thanksgiving with family. I'd love to know what your thoughts are on this table. What is your favorite piece? Are you gonna thrift anything for your Thanksgiving table? Let me know down in the comments. Follow along on Instagram, Magnolias and Sunlight, and I will see you guys back here in December for a lot more holiday DIYs.